Listen carefully to this, because what you're about to discover is going to shatter everything you thought you knew about money. This is not just another piece of financial advice. It's not a savings method. It's not an investment strategy. It's something much deeper, something that has been hidden from you your entire life. And once you understand it, there's no going back. Have you ever wondered why some people work relentlessly and barely survive, while others seem to attract wealth with almost no apparent effort? It's not luck, it's not privilege, it's not connections. It's something that is happening inside you, right at this very moment, and you don't even know it. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura, a Japanese neuroscientist who spent 40 years researching the relationship between the nervous system and the perception of reality, discovered something disturbing in 2003. His findings never made it into the major journals. His work was silenced, archived, buried under layers of academic bureaucracy. Why? Because what he found was too dangerous. Nakamura demonstrated that money is not what you were taught. It's not just paper, it's not just numbers on a screen. Money, according to his research, is pure energy, and like all energy, it responds to frequencies. Your frequency, the frequency of your nervous system, your brain waves, your emotional state. And here's the brutal part. If your frequency is misaligned, you can work 100 hours a week and still stay stuck in the same shit. Nakamura discovered that the human brain operates in different brainwave states: beta, alpha, theta, delta. Most people live trapped in beta, the state of constant alert, chronic stress, survival mode. In beta, your brain is defensive, scanning for threats, anticipating danger, burning energy as if you were running from a predator. And do you know what frequency stress emits? Scarcity. Your nervous system, when it's in survival mode, sends signals to the universe that say, "There isn't enough, I need more, I'm in danger." And the universe, which doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you fear, gives you exactly that. More scarcity, more need, more danger. Now, before you think this is some kind of esoteric pseudoscience, let me tell you something. Nakamura was not a spiritual guru. He was a scientist with impeccable credentials. A PhD in neuroscience from the University of Tokyo, 30 publications in scientific journals, collaborations with top-tier medical institutions. But his final works, the most revolutionary ones, disappeared. Coincidence? I don't think so. Because what he discovered is that the system we live in, the education we receive, the culture we consume, is all designed to keep you in beta. In stress, in survival mode. Why? Because a stressed nervous system is predictable, controllable, manipulable. A person under stress doesn't question, doesn't create, doesn't expand. They only react. Think about it. Since the day you were born, you've been bombarded with messages of scarcity. There isn't enough money. You have to save. You have to work hard. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. Money corrupts. Every one of those phrases is a program, a piece of code installed in your subconscious that defines your relationship with abundance. And the worst part is that you don't even question it, because it comes from your parents, your teachers, society. They planted it so deeply inside you that you believe it's your truth. But it isn't. It's the truth of a system that needs you to stay small. Nakamura found something fascinating in his experiments. He connected hundreds of people to brain scanners while showing them images related to money. Bills, checks, bank numbers. What he saw was revealing. In most subjects, the areas of the brain associated with fear and threat activated immediately. Money didn't generate excitement, it generated terror. Why? Because the subconscious associates money with danger, with rejection, with betrayal, with loss. Maybe you grew up watching your parents fight over money. Maybe you saw someone change because of wealth. Maybe you were taught that wanting money was dirty, selfish, immoral. And now, every time you think about abundance, your nervous system triggers an alarm. Here's the problem. You cannot attract what you fear. It's impossible. Your nervous system is like an antenna, constantly emitting and receiving signals. If your antenna is tuned to fear, you'll only receive more reasons to be afraid. If it's tuned to scarcity, you'll only experience more scarcity. This is not magic. It's quantum physics applied to biology. Every thought generates an electromagnetic wave. Every emotion alters your energetic field. And money, as energy, flows toward compatible frequencies. Nakamura called this the principle of financial coherence. He said that money seeks coherent nervous systems, people whose internal state is aligned with abundance. Not people who desire money from desperation, but people who already vibrate in abundance, even before having it. Does that sound contradictory? It is, because you've been taught that you need money first in order to feel abundant, when in reality, it's the other way around. First, you have to feel abundant for money to arrive. It's the same principle as love. You don't find a partner from desperation, you find one from wholeness. But of course, the system doesn't want you to know this. Because if you did, you'd stop being a slave to stress. You'd stop working jobs you hate. You'd stop consuming to fill emotional voids. And that would be catastrophic for the economy as we know it. They need you running on the wheel, believing that effort is proportional to reward, believing that abundance is for others, not for you. As long as you stay in beta, as long as your nervous system is in red, alert, you'll remain productive for them and poor for yourself. Now comes what Nakamura considered the most important part, the financial shadow. This comes from Carl Jung, but Nakamura applied it to money. The shadow is everything we repress, deny, hide even from ourselves. And when it comes to money, everyone has one. Maybe deep down you believe you don't deserve it, that you're a fraud, that if you succeed, people will abandon you, that wealth will turn you into someone you don't want to be. These beliefs operate in the background, sabotaging every attempt you make to prosper. And the most fucked up part is that you don't see them because they live in the unconscious. Nakamura said most people have a fragmented financial identity. On one hand, they say they want money, they repeat positive affirmations, they visualize abundance. On the other hand, their subconscious is screaming the opposite. And the subconscious always wins. Always. Because it controls 95% of your decisions, behaviors, and results. So you can repeat, "I am rich," 1,000 times. But if your subconscious believes you're poor, you'll stay poor. It's that simple, and that brutal. Do you remember the last time you had an opportunity to earn more money and let it pass? Or the time you sabotaged a project that could have taken you to the next level? That wasn't bad luck or lack of skill. That was your financial shadow acting. Your nervous system detected expansion and slammed on the emergency brake. Why? Because expansion is scary. Because leaving your comfort zone creates anxiety. Because your current identity cannot sustain the level of abundance you desire. And before you psychologically collapse, your mind would rather sabotage you. Here's the experiment Nakamura ran that changed everything. He took two groups of people with similar financial profiles. The first group was taught traditional financial management techniques, budgets, investments, savings. The second group was taught how to regulate their nervous system, reprogram their subconscious, and integrate their financial shadow. Guess what happened? The first group improved marginally, 10–15%. The second group tripled their income in 6 months. Tripled it. They weren't working more hours. They weren't doing radically different things. They had simply changed their internal frequency. So how do you change your frequency? Nakamura developed a protocol he called financial nervous system recalibration. And this is where it gets interesting, because it's not what you expect. It's not repeating affirmations in front of a mirror. It's not visualizing mansions and luxury cars. It's much deeper and much more uncomfortable. The first step is nervous system regulation. You have to pull your body out of survival mode. How? Breathing. But not just any breathing. Conscious, rhythmic, extended breathing. Nakamura discovered that when you lengthen the exhale, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the one that tells you you're safe, that you can relax, that there's no threat. 5 seconds inhaling, 7 seconds exhaling. 10 minutes a day. This alone changes your brain chemistry. The second step is reprogramming through writing. This comes from Nikola Tesla's 3 to 6 9 method, but Nakamura adapted it for finances. You write a financial affirmation 3 times in the morning, 6 times at midday, 9 times at night. But not just any affirmation. It has to be something your subconscious can believe. If you're broke, you can't write "I am a millionaire" because your mind will reject it. You start with something like, "I am learning to receive money with ease." Something that doesn't trigger resistance. And you write it by hand because the physical act of writing connects to deeper parts of the brain that a keyboard can't reach. The third step, and this is where most people fail, is shadow, integration. You have to bring all those hidden beliefs about money into the light. And the only way to do that is through free writing. You sit down, set a 20-minute timer, and write without stopping. Money is. And you let everything come out. All the garbage, all the resentment, all the fear. Don't censor it. Don't judge it. Just let it out. Because as long as those beliefs are hidden, they control you. But once you expose them, once you see them on paper, they lose their power. They stop being absolute truths and become what they always were: inherited programs that you can rewrite. Nakamura also talked about emotional coherence. He said you cannot be in financial anxiety and expect abundance. Anxiety and abundance operate on opposite frequencies. It's like trying to tune into 2 radio stations at once. You'll only hear noise, so you have to choose. And the choice isn't easy because anxiety is addictive. It gives you something to do, keeps you busy, makes you feel like you're in control, but you're not. Anxiety is an illusion of control. True abundance comes from surrender, from letting go, from trusting that the flow will take you where you need to be. And here comes something that's going to make you uncomfortable. Nakamura said money is a mirror. It shows you exactly who you are, not who you pretend to be. If you're internally chaotic, your finances will be chaotic. If you're controlling, money will resist you. If you're genuinely generous, money will flow. That's why some people make millions and lose it over and over again. Because the money arrived, but they didn't change. Their identity was still that of a poor person, and money, finding no suitable container, left. It's not random, it's energetic physics. Think about this. How many times have you received unexpected money and immediately spent it on something unnecessary? Or had extra income only for an urgent expense to appear and wipe it out? That's not bad luck. It's your nervous system returning the money because your identity can't sustain it. Your financial comfort zone has a limit, and every time you exceed it, your subconscious activates mechanisms to bring you back to equilibrium. It's like a thermostat. If it's set to 20 degrees and it rises to 25, the system automatically lowers it. Your financial thermostat is set to your current identity level. and until you reprogram it, you'll keep returning to the same place. Nakamura also discovered something fascinating about brain waves. When you're in theta state, between 4 and 8 hertz, your brain is highly receptive. It's the state of creativity, intuition, deep reprogramming. And here's the trick. Money flows more easily when you're in theta than when you're in beta. Why? Because in theta, you're not forcing, chasing, or operating from scarcity. You're in receiving mode. And money, like any energy, prefers the path of least resistance. It flows where there's openness, not blockage. So how do you access theta consciously? Deep meditation. But not just any meditation. It has to take you beyond mental noise, beyond daily worries. Nakamura recommended visualization meditations where you don't visualize what you want, but how you would feel if you already had it. Because the brain doesn't distinguish between reality and vividly imagined experience. If you manage to feel abundance in theta, your nervous system records that frequency as real. And once it's recorded, you start behaving, deciding, moving from that frequency. And results change. But here's the hardest truth that no one wants to accept. Nakamura said most people don't actually want to be rich. They think they do. They say they do. But deep down, they're too afraid. Afraid of change. Afraid of losing relationships. Afraid of being judged. Afraid of not being enough, even with money. Because if you have money and you're still unhappy, you have no more excuses. And that's terrifying. It's more comfortable to stay in the narrative of, if I had money, everything would be better, than to face the possibility that money won't fix what's really broken. And do you know what's most twisted about all this? The system knows it. They know that as long as you chase money from lack, you'll never truly reach it. They know that as long as they keep you stressed, you'll be a compulsive consumer, an obedient worker, someone who never questions the structure. That's why traditional financial education focuses on external tools, investments, savings, budgets. But they never teach you the internal part, your emotional relationship with money, your financial trauma, your energetic frequency. Because if you learned that, you'd become free. And a free being doesn't fit into a system that needs voluntary slaves. Nakamura spent the last years of his life trying to publish his findings on a massive scale, but he was systematically blocked. His research was labeled pseudoscience, even though it was backed by data, MRI scans, brainwave measurements. Why was he attacked? Because he was revealing the code. He was showing that money is not a game of external skills, but of internal alignment. And that's dangerous for a system that benefits from your misalignment. So what do you do with this information? You can dismiss it, label it as just another personal development video, go back to your routine, stay in the same cycle. Or you can pause, take a deep breath, and ask yourself honestly, what frequency am I emitting right now? Am I in survival mode or creation mode? Is my nervous system open to receiving or closed by fear? Because here's the brutal truth. You don't need to work harder. You need to change your frequency. And when you do, money will stop being a struggle and become a natural flow. But that requires something most people aren't willing to do. Look inward, face the shadow, reprogram the system. Are you willing? Because if you are, everything changes. If you're not, you'll stay exactly where you are, repeating the same patterns, waiting for different results. And that, as you well know, is the definition of insanity.